Our world is made up of all kinds of shapes that children explore using their senses to develop an understanding of those shapes. Through this learning process, children will encounter many ways to use shapes and how they are relevant in our lives. To support learners of all styles, we want to give hands-on kinesthetic activities that can strengthen their shape knowledge. Kindergarten children need the connection to the real world to help them grasp the concepts of shapes that surround them every day. Children should be able to identify and sort not only 2D but 3D shapes by the end of their kindergarten year, according to research.
To help with at-home learning, we want to demonstrate inexpensive and easy ways to use recycled and found objects at home. Research shows that including movement into mathematics will support your child to engage in and comprehend their daily shape observations. The importance of hands-on learning for students of all academic abilities is well documented. Family engagement is shown to encourage math concepts with early learners. In addition, you will find that all of these mini lessons will support your child's progress according to the Colorado Academic Standards in Geometry for kindergarten age students.
Through our mini lessons, we will demonstrate hands-on activities to link children to geometry ideas in an age-appropriate manner. Research shows how early math concepts begin at home. You can help with geometry and spatial relationships with these activities while enjoying playtime with your children. We emphasize hands-on activities to connect your children to their learning using touch, sight, and sound methods. Children demonstrate math literacy even before fully developing language for those math concepts. You will see results with these lessons when your child starts to describe their physical world using the language of geometric math.
Hi guys, I'm up first and I'm going to show you how to make a really fun light table out of the things you can find at home so that it's a budget-friendly option. All I used was an old storage container, clear. As you can see, I even have old writing on it. Some puck lights that are really easy and cheap to find. You can even find them at the dollar store, I think. And what I did to diffuse the light is I taped some wax paper, or you can use parchment paper, or you can even paint the inside of the plastic with some white acrylic paint. So lots of ways to make this work. Also, if you don't have any puck lights, but you have some Christmas lights around, that works really well too. And children really love the light, and it will make them want to work with you more often. So I have a couple of different geometric shape activities to do with your kiddos. The first thing is, if you have any magnet tiles, children really like to build up their structures on top of the light table, and as you can see, the light makes the magnet tiles even prettier. And so I would suggest building with them and talking about each of the shapes, talking about all of the triangles and the rectangles and the squares, and maybe even how all squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares. And another thing that you can talk about is if you build up a three-dimensional shape, you can talk about how the two-dimensional shapes build the three-dimensional shape. So that's one activity that's really fun and can go on for hours. Another activity is to find yourself some shapes. And I have some expo markers handy so that they're easiest to erase off of the top, but you can use some Crayola washable markers as well. So, you know, I have some very basic shapes here. I have the circle and the rectangle and the triangle and the square, and what you can do is have the children trace the shapes straight on the light table. Or if they're not able to trace, you could trace them for them, and then they can come in and try to practice coloring them in. And you would also be talking with them the whole time about what the shape is and about, how a rectangle has 4 sides and 4 angles, depending on how old they are and what their capabilities are. And if you have started with handwriting and reading, then you could even draw the words on there with them and have them practice. I have 2 more activities to try out with you guys. The first one is to find some fun plastic and do the same thing. Either color them out or cut out the shapes and play with them on the white table. And the last thing, and kind of the most messy thing, is to use some rice or any other object. You could use shaving cream, or you could use salt or sand. Colored sand would be really pretty. And then they could trace the shapes of that you call out or that they want. And this is really great sensorial practice for them if they like that hands-on tactile learning. So you could say, please make me a triangle, and they would make you a triangle. So there you go. There's my offering for a light table. And next up is Chloe. What do you have for us, Chloe?
Hello and welcome to this geometry lesson. I am so excited to be able to learn with you in your home, and I have some really fun at-home activities planned for you. So the shapes that we are going to be going over today are squares and cubes, triangles and pyramids, and then we are also going to go over cylinders, and there's a really fun activity for that one. So for part of this, the materials, parents, that you are going to want to have are Play-Doh, any color, really does not matter, whatever you have on hand, and then also toothpicks. If you want to switch out these materials, say you don't have Play-Doh but you have marshmallows, you can use that. Or if you don't have toothpicks, maybe you could use another material such as pretzels. Those are other options, just whatever you have that can replace those 2 items. So with those, this is what these shapes will look like. So your cube will look something like this when you are done, and then your pyramid will look something like this. So those are our 3-dimensional shapes, and then our 2-dimensional shapes that we are talking about, as I said before, squares and triangles. So this is something what your square will look like, and this is what your triangle will look like. Okay, so those are our 2-dimensional shapes. These are our 3-dimensional shapes. Okay. And then for the cylinder, there are a little bit different types of materials. So you will need a toilet paper roll or a paper towel roll if you have that instead. You can also cut the paper towel roll in half if you would rather do that, or you can keep it as a whole. You will also need beads. These will be put inside your cylinder so that you're able to make noise with it. If you don't have beads, parents, you can use other dry materials such as rice or dry beans or whatever material you have that can replace those beads. And then you will also need clear tape and scissors. I have this clear Scotch tape, but if you don't have that, you can use duct tape or whatever other tape you have available to you. Okay, and then when we're done with that cylinder, the cylinder will look something like this. It will have our beads in there, be able to make noise. And awesome thing that you get to do with this, you get to design this. You get to use your own imagination to create something awesome, okay? So first, we are going to start out with our three-dimensional shapes, okay? So that would be our cube and our triangle, and then we're also going to do our square and our triangle, okay? So parents, if you would like to pause the video right now so that you're able to gather those materials, you are welcome to, okay? So let's start out with the base of a cube, which is a square, because if you look in my cube, you will see a square, right? So this is a square, and that is what we are going to make first, and that is a two-dimensional shape, okay? So you're going to need a toothpick, and then you're going to need a little bit of Play-Doh, probably about this much, not very much, so that you don't get too much on there. Then you're going to roll it into a ball. Then you're going to take your toothpick and you're going to stick it into the Play-Doh, just like that. And then what you're going to do with this now is you are going to set it off to the side so that you can roll another ball of Play-Doh. So take another piece of Play-Doh, roll it up into a ball. You're not going to grab another toothpick yet, but you're going to take this ball and you're going to stick it in there like that, okay? So right now, this is what our square looks like. Kind of needs more sides, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay, so now you're going to need to grab another toothpick and another piece of Play-Doh. I think I'm going to take a little bit off this one because I think it's a little bit too big. You're going to roll it up. Don't let your arms get tired. Roll, 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 roll. And then you're going to take your toothpick. You're going to take your Play-Doh and you're going to stick it on there again, okay? And you're going to set it aside again. Grab a little bit more Play-Doh. Roll it up. And you're going to take the other side of your toothpick and stick it in there, okay? So you should have no pointy sides at this point. There should be no toothpick sticking out, okay? And then we don't need any more Play-Doh, right? Because all of our corners are covered, we just need more sides, right? So now you're going to take another toothpick, and you're going to stick it in the side just like that, okay? And then you're going to take this side, and you're also going to stick it in to the Play-Doh. And this is what it should look like. Now, we're still missing a side, aren't we? Yeah, we need one more side. So take another toothpick and you're going to do the same thing, okay? So you're going to take it, drop mine, and you're going to stick it into the sides of the bottom piece of the Play-Doh. So you should be sticking it right here where this open side was, okay? So now, look what we did there. We have a square. You give yourself a pat on the back. You just made a square, okay? So this is what it should look like. Alright. So this is a square, and it is a two-dimensional figure, which means it lays flat, okay? It doesn't stick up, out, and it's different than our cube, right? Our cube is raised, while this sits flat on a surface. Why don't you look around your room right now and see if you can find any squares? Okay? Let's see. This is a square. I found one. All right, now let's move on to our next two-dimensional shape. This would be our triangle, okay? This is what it's going to look like when we are done. This one, I'm going to use purple Play-Doh instead of the blue that I used for the last one, okay? So I'm going to take my purple Play-Doh. I'm going to put it into small little pieces. I'm going to roll, 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 roll. I'm going to stick it right there. And on the other side of my toothpick. And then what do? Set it aside. All right. And then you're going to do the same thing. Roll, 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 roll. Then you're going to take another toothpick. And you're going to stick that in the top. Just like that. Take another piece of Play-Doh. Roll it up. And then you are going to stick it in the other side of the toothpick, okay? So now we have two sides, right? So now you're going to take this side and you're going to stick it into this part of the Play-Doh. So now you should have what looks kind of like an A or an upside down V, but now we need one more side, right? Okay, so you're going to stick that right there. So you take your toothpick and at the empty side, we're going to close up that. Now, you've just made a triangle. Great job. So this is what yours should look like, okay? So you should have 3 pieces of Play-Doh that you put on here and 3 toothpicks, okay? So this is our triangle, okay? This is our 2-dimensional shape. This is our 3-dimensional triangle, right? Which is called a pyramid. Why don't you look around your room and see if you see any triangles. This one might be a little bit harder, but I'm sure that you can find some. Okay? All right. Now let's move on to our 3-dimensional shapes. Okay? Our 3-dimensional shapes are the cube and the pyramid, right? This is our cube. The cube's falling apart, There we go. And then our cube. Let's start out by making our cube. So what I want you to do is I want you to grab that square that you made and I want you to lay it on the table in front of you. That is going to be the base of our cube because a cube is made out of squares, right? And you're going to take 4 of these, right? 4 toothpicks, okay? You're going to stick them in the top of the Play-Doh. Make sure you're not sticking them in the sides. Your toothpicks should be pointing straight up to the sky, right? All right. So now it looks like this, okay? Right? Now you're going to take some Play-Doh and you're going to roll it. It's a little too big. And you're going to stick it on the top of one. And then you're going to grab a little bit more Play-Doh and stick it on another pointy top of a toothpick. And now you do it again because we need 4 corners. So then I'm going to put another piece of Play-Doh on the top. And then one more time because we've done 3 and we need 4. Okay, take your last piece of Play-Doh and stick it on that last sharp part. So now we should have no sharp parts, right? My cube is a little unstable right now. Okay, So you should have no sharp parts. Now, you're going to take 4 other toothpicks, and you are going to stick them into the sides where all the corners connect together. Okay? I need 2 more. 1, 2. Guess what, guys? You just made a cube. Great job. This is what yours should look like. Okay? So now this is our cube. And remember, a cube is made out of squares. And this is a 3-dimensional figure. So remember, our 2-dimensional figures, they can lay flat on the ground. But a cube, which is a 3-dimensional figure, it can't lay flat on the ground. So something that a cube would be a box or a block. Those are cubes because they don't lay flat on the ground, right? Okay, so now we are going to make our pyramid. And remember, our pyramid is made up of triangles. See that? See the triangle? Remember, this is a 3-dimensional shape. It's not a 2-dimensional shape. So it's not going to be able to lay flat like your other shape does. Okay? So let's take our triangle that we made earlier, and I want you to grab that, and I want you to lay it flat on the table. Boop. Just like that. Just lay it flat right there. And then you're going to take 3 toothpicks. 1, 2, 3. 3 toothpicks. And stick them in the top of your Play-Doh. Remember, don't do it on the side or your 3-dimensional shape's gonna look kind of funny. Okay? So this is what it should look like. All the pointy parts. And a triangle. A triangle has 3 on the bottom, but a pyramid only has 1 piece of Play-Doh on the top that will hold it together, okay? So take your piece of Play-Doh, small piece, okay? And roll it, 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 roll it. And you're going to connect all 3 of those to this 1 piece of Play-Doh, so you're only going to need 1. So stick it into one, stick it into the other, the final until they're all connected to this 1 piece of Play-Doh. So now I should have no pointy parts, right? Okay. And it's all connected. Look at that. You guys just made a pyramid. Good job. So far we've made triangles. We've made squares. We've made pyramids. And we've made cubes. Now it's time for the final one, okay? So grab your toilet paper roll and cut off a piece of tape. You're going to need 2 at first. And what you're going to do with these 2 pieces is you're going to take 1 piece and lay it over the other. This is when you're going to use your scissors because you're going to kind of cut it where there's no sticky parts, and you can kind of cut it into a circular shape like the top of your cylinder has. Okay, just lay it over there to make sure that it fits. Mine fits, but it's not sticky. This way our beads don't stick to it, okay? So then you're gonna lay that one flat on top of your toilet paper roll. And then you're going to put a piece of tape over that so that it connects together. Okay? So take a piece of tape and just stick it straight over and press it down. That way it sticks. Okay? And then you're going to take another piece of tape and go over it the other way. Okay. And then you're going to need one more piece to go around the cylinder. Okay? Make sure that there are no pokey or sticky parts that are going to touch you. If you feel like this step is not necessary, then you do not have to do it. I just like it because I think that it gives tape more stability when you're shaking it. Okay? And now, we can't close this side, right? Because we are missing something. We're missing beads, right? So this is the bottom of our cylinder. You notice cylinders have circles on both sides. You take your beads, okay? And you're going to pour them in, just like that. And then you're going to do the same thing on the other side. So you need 2 pieces of tape. Stick them to one another. You don't have to cut off the excess if you do not want to. It's not a required, it will work if you don't do that step, okay? So lay your tape over the top. Grab another piece. And stick it over. Repeat the same thing. Okay. And then put tape around the sides, which again, it is not necessary. If you do not want to do that step, you do not have to. Your tape is staying there, and it's perfectly fine to skip it. Okay? And there you go. You have made a cylinder, okay? Remember, cylinder has a circle on the top and circle on the bottom. And it's not a cylinder if it is not closed, right? Having both sides closed. And now, I give the creativeness to you. You may decorate this however you want. And if you don't, that's okay. But if you do, then you can put stickers, or you can paint it, or you can color it, whatever you would like to do with your cylinder, okay? And don't forget, play some awesome cylinder music, okay? And now that is all that I have for you. I hope you had fun learning about all these different shapes. And now it is off to Melody, who's going to teach you some more shapes. Thank you.
Thank you, Chloe. Today we're going to make bubbles. So why do we want to make bubbles at home? Well, first of all, it's fun, and then you can also experiment with different shapes. So here we have a 2-dimensional square in a couple of different, there's a rectangle configurations, but it's really cool to be able to use these 2-dimensional squares to be able to make spheres. Spheres are fun. Bubbles are a great way to incorporate the learning. So here we go. In order to do this activity, you're going to need a few household items. You're going to want to have a dishpan, some water, some dish soap, straws, string, a beach towel, some scissors, and your extra optional ingredient is glycerin. Now you can find glycerin, let's see if I can get it there, at your baking supply store such as Michael's or Hobby Lobby. It's usually in the cake baking department. Glycerin just helps give those bubbles a little bit more stability so that when you're blowing them, they last just a little bit longer, they get a little bit bigger. I'll give you a moment now to go gather those materials. First off, I'm going to start by preparing my bubble mixture. I'm going to start by adding just some water into my dish pan. Then I'm going to add dish soap. Now I want to use about a 2-to-1 ratio, so 2 parts water to 1 part dish soap. So I've got about 2 cups of water in here and about 1 cup of dish soap going. I'm just going to give that a little mix with my hand. And as you can see, I've also protected my table surface with a beach towel. All right, so there we go. We got some good soapy water. Next up, you want to add the glycerin. That's just a couple of tablespoons worth, not a whole lot. Just a little bit will do ya. Oops, forgot to open that. There we go. So I'm going to add my glycerin in and give that a little mix. I added about 1 tablespoon's worth. There. All right. So now you can see I've got some great soapy water going. All right, so it's super easy to make your bubble maker. This is going to be from a straw. I've cut the flexible end off. And then I cut it in half. So I have 2 equal parts. I'm going to then cut my string that is 3 times longer than my cut straw piece. I'm going to thread my string through the straw, both pieces, and then make a square knot when I come out. So the square knot is the best method to hold the string so that it doesn't come apart while you're blowing, and it's right over left and under, and then left over right and under, in case you didn't know that little tip. So there I've made my square knot. And I'm just going to hide that knot inside the straw. So there I've got my nice little square shape. Now the fun part begins. We're going to go ahead and blow some bubbles. So I just get it in there and you can just pull it out, keeping your hand. I like to hold the straw this way. Let's try that one again. You see, I get really nice big bubbles. Lots of fun. So you can experiment with different size shapes, like your rectangle will blow some different bubbles. So you kind of get a big oblong bubble. Your square, the bigger the better. Lots of fun. All right, now the extension for this is to take that 2-dimensional square and turn it into a 3D cube. So I'm still using my different straws and string. As you can see, I've constructed 3 of my 4 sides, so I'm going to work on that 4th side now. So I'm going to take my straw and cut it into 4 equal parts. I do that by just cutting off the end where the bendy part is, and then measuring it out to 4 equal parts. Oh, side note, the glycerin is a little sticky. All right, and then again, same method. I'm going to go ahead and use my string through the straw, and I'm going to put on all 4 pieces on a piece of string that is 1 1/2 times the length of my straw. Alrighty. Having some fraying issues thanks to the glycerin. Like I said, it's basically sugar, sticky water. Really helps those bubbles hold their shape though. All right, so now I've got my 4 pieces on my string, I'm going to go ahead and tie that tight so that all 4 pieces of the straw are touching each other. All right, and then I want to go ahead and clip off that excess string. And now I've got my 2D square shape. Again, I'm just tucking that knot kind of inside there. And it's going to hold its shape once we tie our corners down. So I've got 4 corners to tie. I've got my extra pieces of string here. I'm going to tie at the top and the bottom. Again, I like to use square knots. They tend to be the most effective at holding the string in place while you're doing your bubble blowing. All right, so there's one. All right, I finished tying my 4 corners. So all my corners are secure, and you'll see that I've made a 3-dimensional cube. Now comes the fun part, blowing some more bubbles. All right, into the bubble mix it goes. Now, you can do this a couple of different ways. You and your child could experiment watching your bubbles come out by blowing it that way. But another fun method is to use another straw as you're blowing bubbles inside the cube. This requires that you get all 4 sides of your cube, 6 sides, all 6 sides of your cube immersed in your bubble mix. And as you can kind of see it starting already, I insert my straw into the middle and I blow the bubbles. Lots and lots of fun. Working with 2D and 3D bubble makers, you and your child can have fun at home learning about these different shapes: squares, cubes, rectangles, and spheres. Have fun!
Thank you to everybody who helped make this video, especially Jeff Langston for our Bach cello. We appreciate you. And thank you for joining us in our journey to learn about math at home. Have a great day.